So cuticle, it is actually a waxy layer that is present above the epidermis, and it also adds extra protection to the stem. The cortex is divided into three important subzones. So one is the hypodermis, the other one is the cortical layer, and the third one is the endodermis. Sclerenchymatous cells are the dead cells, and what is the function of the sclerenchymatous cells? To provide mechanical support to the plant body. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to today's session on chapter 6, that is anatomy of flowering plants. So in the previous session, we had studied about the transverse section of a dicotyledonous root and a monocotyledonous root, and I had told you how to distinguish between a dicotyledonous root and a monocotyledonous root, wherein the difference between the two can be observed when looking at the cells that are present in the stele, that is especially by looking at the arrangement of the pith and also by looking at the arrangement of the vascular bundles, that is the xylem and the phloem. So in today's session, we shall study about how the cells are arranged in a stem. So we shall study by taking a transverse section of a dicotyledonous stem and a monocotyledonous stem. So to begin with, we will start with dicotyledonous stem. So dicotyledonous stem also, just like how the root is covered by a layer called as the epiblemma or the epidermis, the stem of a dicotyledonous plant is also covered by a epidermis. So therefore, the epidermis, it forms the outermost layer of the plant cells, and the main function of the epidermis is to give protection to the plant stems. It is the outermost protective layer, and also apart from that, unlike the root, the epidermis is covered by a layer called as the cuticle. So cuticle, it is actually a waxy layer that is present above the epidermis, and it also adds extra protection to the stem. But in the roots, this cuticle layer is absent. So this is one of the major difference between the root of a plant and that of a stem. So it is covered with a thin layer of cuticle, and also they have trichomes and the stomata. Roots did not have the stomata, but they had the root hairs. In the case of leaves and in the case of stem, the root hairs are nothing but, or the hairs are called as the trichomes. There, in the case of root, it was called as the root hairs, and in the case of dicot stem and also monocot stem, it is called as the trichomes. So trichomes are nothing but the hairy-like structures or the hair that covers the external layer, or that covers the, or that protrudes out of the epidermal cells, or that protrudes from the epidermis. So it is covered with a thin layer of cuticle, and also they may have trichomes or may not have, depending on the plant species, and also a few of them have stomata on the stem. Stomata is major, or mostly it is confined to the leaves, but in some of the plant species, the stomata are also present in the stem, so they also bear a few amount of the stomata. So the next portion is the cortex. So the next part is the cortex. So in the cortex, the cells are compactly, they are arranged in multiple layers, that it is made up of more than 2 or 3 layers, and it is present between the epidermis and the pericycle. So those cells or those tissues that are present between the epidermis and the pericycle, which you have learnt in your previous session also while talking about the dicotyledonous root, I had mentioned that there is a region called as the cortex, which contains the parenchyma, the sclerenchyma and the collenchyma as such, right? Just like that, that region which lies between the epidermis and the pericycle, it is nothing but the cortex, and it consists of mainly 3 subzones. So it is divided into 3 subzones. What are they? We shall see. Before moving into that, the outer layer of the epidermis is covered by the epidermal hair, and this epidermal hair is also called as the trichome in the case of the stem and the leaf. And it is covered by a layer, protective layer called as the epidermis. So from where does the epidermal hair or the trichome arise? It arises from few of the cells that protrude or come out of the epidermis. And below the epidermis, there is one more layer called as the hypodermis. And below the hypodermis, there is one more layer called as the cortex. It is the next part of the plant cells or the next tissues which is called as the cortex, and in the cortex it is again divided into 3 subzones. So what are the 3 different subzones in the cortex? We shall see. So as I told you, the cortex is divided into 3 important subzones. So one is the hypodermis, the other one is the cortical layer, and the third one is the endodermis. So before moving on to that, if you remember, I had shown a diagram like this. So when you take a cross section of the stem, this is how the entire portion of the stem, that particular, because stem is usually circular in the case of dicot, and this also you have to remember, in dicot the shape of the stem is always circular, but in the case of monocot they have an angular shape. It usually looks like a square. If you observe the grasses and all that, they actually have angles, like it usually have angles. Unlike dicots, it is not round. So dicot stems, they are usually round, and the entire dicot stem, if you see under the microscope, it is a circular structure having all the vascular bundles situated in the form of a array-like arrangement. So it is usually situated like this, and only whenever you study in the textbooks or anywhere, only a small portion of this will be shown in the textbook. The whole thing will not be shown, because if the entire cells are covered inside this particular diagram, it will be difficult to differentiate between the cells. That is why only a small portion will be drawn, and that this small portion is the one that actually looks like this, what you see here. This small portion is the one, and the same thing continues throughout in a circular form. So this is the diagram of a dicot. As I told you, below the epidermis is present a region called as the cortex, and that cortex is divided into 3 different layers or 3 different zones. So what are the different zones? One is the hypodermis, the other one is the cortical layer, and the third one is the endodermis. So all these together constitute the cortex, or it is the subzones of the cortex. So moving on to hypodermis. So hypodermis, it is usually present below the epidermis. So from the start of the hypodermis up till the endodermis, it is nothing but the cortex in the case of the dicotyledonous stem. So the hypodermis is made up of few layers of collenchyma cells. So what are collenchyma cells? Those cells which are arranged in a tightly packed manner. Why it is tightly packed? Because they have thickened cell walls at their corners. Therefore, they are tightly packed. So they have collenchyma cells which is present just below the epidermis, and this collenchyma cells actually provides mechanical support to the young dicot stem. So the main function of these hypodermis is to provide mechanical support. Why do they provide mechanical support? Because they are filled with collenchyma cells. So as you can see here, the epidermis, which is the outermost layer, then the epidermal hair which arises from the epidermis. Below to the epidermis is present the hypodermis. So the hypodermis is usually made up of the collenchyma cells. So as you can see here, this particular region is the hypodermis, which is made up of the collenchyma cells. So they are made up of the collenchyma cells. Below the hypodermis is present the cortical layers. So these cortical layers are made up of parenchymatous cells which are thin walled. So the wall of the parenchyma is very, very thick, and they have intercellular spaces. So that is one of the major difference between the collenchyma and the parenchyma. Collenchyma do not have intercellular spaces, whereas the parenchyma, it has the intercellular spaces and it forms the cortical layer. It forms the cortical layer. So below the cortical layer is present the endodermis. So endodermis, again, it is the innermost layer of the cortex, and the cells of the endodermis, they are filled with starch grains or starch molecules, and these starch grains They actually serve as a source of food for the development or as a nourishment for the other cells of the plant body. And not just that, because it contains abundant, that is because the endodermal cells contains abundant amount of starch grains in them, the layer is also called as the starch sheath. So the endodermis is also called as the starch sheath. So these are the different subzones of the cortex. So endodermis, it is the layer that is present below the cortical layer and it is filled with the starch grains. So therefore, this particular layer is also called as the starch sheath. It is also called starch sheath. So all these three are nothing but the cortex, or they are the subzones of the cortex. So a cortex in a dicotyledonous stem constitutes the collenchyma cells, which is the hypodermal layer, and the parenchyma cells, which forms the cortical layer, and the starch cells which are filled with starch, which forms the endodermal layer or the endodermis. So these are the different subzones. So next, moving on to the cells or tissues that are arranged below the endodermis. So below the endodermis, or there is a layer present inner to the endodermis, which is called as the pericycle, and it is always present below the endodermis and it is present above the phloem. Here, pericycle, like how you studied in root about the pericycle, it is the same in this case also. It is present below the endodermis and it forms a semilunar patches of sclerenchyma. It means they are made up of sclerenchymatous cells. So remember, sclerenchymatous cells are the dead cells, and what is the function of the sclerenchymatous cells? To provide mechanical support to the plant body. So therefore, the main purpose of the pericycle is to provide mechanical support to the plant body apart from the other three cells, that is the collenchyma cells, the parenchyma cells. So this is regarding the pericycle. So what is this pericycle? It is present just below the endodermis and it is made up of sclerenchyma cells, which are nothing but the dead cells. So they are made up of sclerenchyma. So next, below the pericycle, there is one layer called as the medullary rays. So the medullary rays are nothing but few cells which are parenchymatous cells. They are placed radially. Radially means this kind of arrangement is called as the radial arrangement. So they are placed radially in between the vascular bundles. So what are the vascular bundles? They are the xylem and the phloem. So medullary rays are nothing but this particular region is made up of cells which are parenchymatous cells, and these parenchymatous cells are arranged in such a way as if they look like the rays. So imagine when you draw a ray of a sun, how do you draw? You put a small circle and draw rays like this, right? This is how you represent the rays of a sun. In the same way, if these lines are the vascular bundles that I am talking about, then in between these, the parenchyma cells will be arranged, and this is nothing but the medullary rays. So as you can see here, they are arranged between the vascular bundles. So here there is the vascular bundle, that is the phloem and the metaxylem. In between these two, you can see the arrangement of the parenchyma cells. So these parenchyma cells which are arranged are nothing but the medullary rays. So next, after the medullary rays, there comes the vascular bundle. So vascular bundles, they are usually arranged in ring. So by looking at this diagram, you might think, how can I say that they are arranged in ring? Remember, I had told you this is only a small portion of the diagram that they have drawn here. But if you look at this, but this is how the actual stem entirely under the microscope it will look like. So you can see they are arranged in the form of ring. So in between these vascular bundles, the parenchyma cells are arranged like this, forming a ray-like structure, which is nothing but the medullary rays. So these, wherever parenchyma cells are arranged here, right? It is nothing but the medullary rays. So all these are the medullary rays, and the vascular bundle are arranged in a ring-like pattern throughout. But the diagram which I was showing you till now was only a small portion of this. That is why do not get confused with this. So they have the ray-like arrangement. So what happens here? If it is a round, again it will continue. Here one more vascular bundle, here one more vascular bundle. It is like this. But to make the diagram easily visible, they have shown only a small portion of the cells, because all these cells continue in the other part as well. That is why. So this is about the vascular bundles, wherein they are arranged in a ring-like manner, and the ring-like arrangement of vascular bundles is one of the main characteristic feature in order to distinguish a dicot stem with that of the monocot stem. So remember, I told you, while if somebody places a permanent slide of a dicot stem or a monocot stem under the microscope, or a dicot root and the monocot root under the microscope without any labeling, just by looking at the stele. So what is the stele? The region of the vascular bundles, the pith, all that together constitute the stele. So by just looking at the stele or the arrangement of the vascular bundles, you can easily identify whether it is monocot stem or a dicot root and a monocot root. So one of the characteristic features of a dicot stem is the ring-like arrangement of the vascular bundle, which is only found in the dicotyledonous species. It is not found anywhere in the monocotyledonous species. So this is one of the distinguishing characters that is seen, which is easy for identification. So the ring-like arrangement of vascular bundle is one of the characteristic features of the dicot stem, and each vascular bundle is conjoint. So it is conjoint, open, and with endark protoxylem. So endark protoxylem, that is, the metaxylem is always faced towards the outer region, and the protoxylem is always faced towards the pith, towards the inside of the pith, and the other one is faced away from the pith. So this particular condition is called as the endark condition. So when we look at the vascular bundle, that is the arrangement of the xylem and the phloem, we can find that each of the vascular bundle that is there, it is conjoined. So what is conjoined? You have studied in your previous session. So suppose if this is a vascular bundle, say for example, in between the phloem layer, so this is the phloem and this is the xylem. In between the cells of the phloem and the xylem, there is one cambial ring that is present. There are cambium cells. So what is the function of the cambium cells? It is to produce the lateral organs. So that is the main function. So it is actually the cambial cells are present here. So that is why it is called as conjoint open. So this condition. So as you can see here, it is clear in the picture. There is the vascular bundle phloem is present here, and then the vascular bundle xylem is present here, along with the metaxylem and the protoxylem, that is xylem is present. So in between this phloem and the xylem, there is one layer of cambial cells being present. So such a arrangement of the vascular bundle is called as the conjoint open vascular bundle. If it is a conjoint closed vascular bundle, then the cambial ring will be absent there. But the dicot stem have vascular bundles arranged throughout the cell in a radial manner, or also, and one more characteristic feature of the vascular bundle is that it is a conjoint open vascular bundle wherein the phloem and the xylem is divided by a middle layer called as the cambium. So that is conjoint open vascular bundle. And when we look at the protoxylem, so the protoxylem or the position of the xylem is one of the important characteristic to distinguish between a dicot and a monocot stem, as well as a dicot and a monocot root as well. And here when we talk about the position of the protoxylem, so protoxylem, it is endark in this particular case. Why it is endark? It is towards the inside. It is facing towards the pith. This is the pith region. So this is the inner region, right? It is the pith region. So it is facing towards the pith, and the metaxylem is facing outside, that is towards the periphery of the plant cell. So that is one of the difference that is seen here. So you can easily understand in this particular diagram. So if I say what happens here is, this is the pith region. So if the protoxylem is present, here towards the pith, then it is endark. Or exarch means if it is away from the pith, it is exarch. So that is the kind of arrangement. So here also, because the protoxylem is towards the center of the pith, or it is facing towards the center of the pith, it is a endark xylem or an endark protoxylem. So therefore, this is one of the distinguishing feature that is present in the dicot stem, especially when we look at the vascular bundles. So next to the vascular bundle is present the pith. So the pith, it is actually large in number, and also it is having rounded parenchymatous cells that are being present. Usually, be it a dicot or a monocot or a stem, a root, or any for that matter, always the pith will be with parenchyma cells. It is made up of parenchyma cells. So it is made up of a number of rounded parenchymatous cells having large amount of intercellular spaces, because you know that parenchyma cells always have intercellular spaces, right? So this also has a large amount of intercellular spaces, and it forms the central portion of the stem. And do you know, one interesting factor is that monocots do not have a pith. So once any grass, if it is growing in your house, just break the grass, you can easily see through it. It looks like a straw, that is in the middle portion of the stem, it is hollow. There is hole through which you can see from one end through the other end. Why is it? Because of the absence of the pith. So therefore, just by looking at the presence and the absence of the pith, you can easily distinguish whether it is a monocot stem or a dicot stem. So this is one of the characteristic feature, wherein the dicot stem, they have a pith region with large round shaped parenchymatous cells having large intercellular spaces. So this is the pith of the dicot stem. So next we shall see with the monocotyledonous stem. So monocots, those plants which produce seeds having only one cotyledon. So in monocots also, almost the layers that are present in the dicot stem are almost similar to that of the monocot stem, but with a few changes. So we shall see what they are. So the monocot also has an epidermis which is covered by a stem hair, which is also called as the trichome. And apart from the epidermis, it also has a cuticle layer which is a waxy coating. So all that are similar to that of the dicot stem as well. And remember, while explaining about dicot stem, I had told you that in dicot, the cortex which lies below the epidermis is divided into 3 subzones, right? Similarly, here also they are divided into 3 subzones, wherein they have collenchymatous cells, the parenchymatous cells, and they have the hypodermis, which is made up of sclerenchymatous cells. So the major difference with that of the dicotyledonous stem and the monocotyledonous stem is in the hypodermis. The hypodermis, in the case of monocotyledonous stem, it is made up of sclerenchyma. But in the case of dicots, the hypodermal layer or the hypodermis was made up of the collenchyma. But here it is made up of sclerenchyma. Therefore, since they have sclerenchyma cells being present, it is called as sclerenchymatous. Next, looking into the vascular bundle. So the vascular bundle in the case of monocot is scattered. There is no proper arrangement. But in the case of dicots, they were very neatly arranged in a circular manner, right? But in the case of monocot, they are haphazardly arranged. They are just scattered here and there. So the scattered nature of the xylem and the phloem is one of the main characteristic features which distinguishes the monocot stem with that of the dicot stem. So as you can see here, it also has the epidermis. Below the epidermis is present the hypodermis. The epidermis also, remember, they have hairs, which are nothing but the trichomes, and the hypodermis, it is made up of sclerenchyma cells. Next to the hypodermis comes the vascular bundles, wherein the vascular bundles are scattered. They do not have a neat round circular arrangement, but they are scattered here and there in random places inside the monocot stem. So the vascular bundles, and in between the vascular bundles is present the ground tissue. So the vascular bundles are scattered, and each vascular bundle is surrounded by sclerenchyma cells, and also they have a bundle sheath and also large conspicuous parenchymatous ground tissue. So here one of the distinguishing feature is that the hypodermis is made up of sclerenchyma. Therefore, remember, monocots are usually fibrous, right? We have agave, we have jute. So all these, then the straw of rice, all these, the straw of wheat, everything, the wheat plant, the rice plant, all are monocots, and they are fibrous. Why they are fibrous? It is because they are majorly made of sclerenchyma cells, which is a dead tissue, and therefore they are nothing but the fibrous cells or the dead tissues which provide mechanical support to the plants. That is why jute and all these are usually used in making ropes and all that, because they are very, very strong. The fibers are very strong there. And also, apart from the phloem and xylem, that is the vascular bundles being surrounded by the sclerenchyma cells, apart from these, they also have large parenchymatous cells which forms the ground tissue. So the ground tissue that is in between the vascular bundles is present the ground tissues, and remember I had told you they do not have a pith. So the major difference between the dicot stem and the monocot stem is that monocot stems do not have a pith. Instead, in between the vascular bundles they have the parenchyma cells which forms the ground tissue. And in root also we had studied about the ground tissue, right, which was made up of collenchyma, sclerenchyma and parenchyma. But after the ground tissue there was one endodermis, and then the vascular bundles were present. But in this case there is no such region called as the endodermis, neither the pericycle and all that. Just after the hypodermis, in between the parenchymatous cells, there is the scattering, or the vascular bundles are scattered here and there. So this is one important characteristic feature that differentiates the monocot stem from that of the dicot stem. Moving on to the type of the vascular bundle. So in dicot stem, the vascular bundle was conjoined and it was open. But in the case of monocot stem, the vascular bundle is conjoined, but it is a closed vascular bundle. So what it means? That in between the phloem and the xylem, there is no cambial ring being present, or the cambium is absent. So as you can see here, there is no cambial ring as such. We have the phloem which occupies a major position, and in between the phloem cells of xylem are present, and it is again the phloem and the xylem are not properly arranged like that how it was arranged in the dicotyledonous stems. Here it is conjoined and closed because, say for example, if I have a vascular bundle in this case, in between the xylem and the phloem there is no cambial ring being present. The xylem is situated within the phloem cells itself. There is no distinguishing or a separate layer for the xylem and a separate layer for the phloem, unlike the dicotyledonous stem. So therefore it is conjoined and closed, and the peripheral vascular bundles, they are usually smaller and the centrally located ones are the larger. So this is easily seen in this particular diagram. As you can see, this is the peripheral region. Those cells or the vascular bundles that are arranged towards the epidermis are the peripheral vascular bundles because they are present at the end, they are present at the periphery, and those that are present at the center are the central vascular bundles. So if you look, you can see that those vascular bundles that are arranged at the center, they are usually larger in size, and as the vascular bundle arrangement goes towards the periphery, the vascular bundles are very, very small in size. So easily. So how can you distinguish now a dicot stem from a monocot stem? In dicot stem, the vascular bundles are neatly arranged in a circular manner at the periphery, but in the monocot stem, the vascular bundles are haphazardly scattered, and also they are not of definite shape or size, especially of size. Why? Because those at the center, they are larger, and those at the periphery, they are smaller in size. So this is one of the distinguishing characteristics. And the phloem parenchyma is usually absent. Remember, in the dicot stems, the phloem parenchyma was present, but in the case of monocot stems, they are usually absent, and they have water containing cavities which are present within the vascular bundles. In between the vascular bundles, there is some water containing there are some cavities or hollow which contains water in them. So these are some of the distinguishing features or characteristics of the monocotyledonous stem. So I hope you understood today's session, wherein you studied about the dicotyledonous stem and the monocotyledonous stem. And now, after you have learned this, I hope you can easily differentiate between how a dicot stem looks like and how a monocot stem looks like if a cross section is taken or a transverse section is taken and a slide is focused under the microscope. So this is about the dicot stem and monocot stem. So in the coming session, we shall study about the leaf, that is how the cells are arranged in a leaf and what are the different type of cells that are present in a leaf. And not just that, again there is something called as the secondary growth. So secondary growth, how it happens, how the cells involve themselves in the secondary growth, all that we shall study in the coming session. So I hope you understood today's session well. We shall meet in the coming session. Thank you.